focus now on Apollo Hospitals, and Suneeta Reddy, Managing Director, joins us now on the show. Welcome, Ms. Reddy, on board, and great to speak with you on NDTV Profit. Let's start with the earnings and just the bare bones numbers. Now, Q4 is traditionally a good quarter. It's reflecting in your numbers as well, but what has been the key highlight in your view?
So healthcare services growth is definitely a highlight. We grew revenue at 17% to 2,563 crores. So total revenue for Apollo Hospitals consolidated was at 4,944 crores, EBITDA at 640 crores, and healthcare services, our EBITDA was at 590 crores. So clearly, I think the growth in healthcare services by 70% was very good, and it bodes well for the future for our current quarter. So beyond that, profit also improved. We registered 280 crores of profit for healthcare services, a growth of 9%. EBITDA grew by 13% to 593 crores. So on the whole, I think good revenue, good EBITDA, and good PAT. As part of the consolidation, Apollo Health grew by 12%, and clearly this is to 2,027 crores of revenue with a EBITDA of 12 crores. So we're moving from a negative to a positive, and that is clearly one of the highlights. And Apollo Health and Lifestyle showed a 20% growth this quarter with a revenue of 239 crores. So, we are seeing better pickup. Apollo Health and Lifestyle was at 335 crores. So we are seeing a better pickup in revenue across all verticals. We are also seeing that, our profit has improved. On the whole, it's improved by 70% over last year for Q4. Going forward, we're looking at healthcare services, better asset utilization. So our current occupancy at 65, we're looking at moving it to 68 to 70%. And we must, as we go forward, we're looking at better volumes. Our volumes for inpatient was at 6% and outpatient at 9%. We believe that we can register a volume growth of 10%. ARPOB improved by 10% to 59,000, net of doctors' fees. And here again, with the change in case mix, we believe that we can deliver a better ARPOB as well. And all this should flow down to margins and profits.
Yes. Let me just focus, of course, healthcare services has done well, but let me just focus on the health core part of it. And, the brick and mortar pharmacy business is also, generally a cash guzzler. When do you see this business turning profitable? I know you went EBITDA positive last quarter, but when does it become profitable?
So the brick and mortar part, for the 6,030 pharmacies, the revenue actually grew by 17%. The back-end margin was at 7.3, so it's a very healthy margin. And moving forward, we're looking at combined healthcare margins of around 9%. So it's on a very good track.
And what about the ARPOB guidance? That's also been robust. Where do you see that going?
So I think, with the case mix improving, we can look at an ARPOB improvement of maybe 7%.
What is your timeline for your target for occupancy? You're saying you want to move your occupancy rates from 65% to 68 to 70%. By when do you see that happening?
This year. We've already started, right? First quarter. So 24, 25.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about your expansion plans. You're going into several newer cities. What's the timeline for operationalizing these, and how many of these are going to be greenfield? What's the mix like?
No, it's a mixture of greenfield and brownfield. So our expansion plans currently are to add 2,000 beds. And this will be, in Gurgaon, we're adding 450 beds. In Hyderabad, we're adding 300 plus an additional 100. In Calcutta, we're adding 250 that could go up to 300. In Pune, we're adding 400 beds. So, this is a network-wide expansion that covers the north, the west, the east, and the south. Oh, this would come on stream from 2025, where we'll have close to 1,000 beds coming on stream, where every year we'll be opening for the next 5 years about 800 beds, 500 to 800 beds. So our current base is 8,000 operating beds. We have put in, we have including managed beds, it is 10,000 beds. So we're adding 2,000 beds with the potential to add another 2,000 beds. And it is both greenfield and brownfield.
Okay. And what will be the contribution of all of this expansion plan to revenue?
If you look at our revenue growth, it's currently 17% for healthcare services. So when you add a hospital every year, and especially in 25-26, let's say, in 3 to 4 years, you'll see 25% uptick in revenues.
Are you concerned about plateauing of growth? And that's, a conversation across industry theme. Is 15% revenue growth the new normal?
No, I'm very optimistic about growth. India is underpenetrated. Demand supply is intact. But what is more advantageous to us is the fact that now the penetration of private insurance. So if you look at our payer mix, so this is really where we have a lot of leverage. Private insurance is currently at 40%. So it's moved up by 10%. And now with international travel, our 7% of our revenues come from foreign patients. So clearly, these two things will definitely drive up revenue.
And so, you talked about the contribution from foreign patients. What is the outlook for that? Where do you see that growing?
7%, but in the metro cities, it is about 20%. So it is growing. Our plan is to make sure that it reaches 10% next year and moving on to 15%.
Your focus, of course, for the chain is on oncology and the specialty segments. I want to understand from you, ma'am, what is the contribution of these two verticals, especially oncology?
So oncology, we saw 40% growth in oncology. And clearly, this is now 20% of total revenues. And cardiac also at close to 20% of revenue.
I'm just going to segue here. While 40% growth in oncology, great for the business, and your stock is performing, it's also an indicator of the rates at which cancer is growing in the country, isn't it?
Because we're also screening them early. Part of what Apollo is growing is preventive healthcare. So as we screen more patients, we're coming up, the incidence of cancer has really grown. So we expect to see that vertical to grow by 20%. Currently 2,400 crores of revenue in oncology.
Just a quick question while I have you here, and we've got the opportunity to speak. The Supreme Court is right now listening to an argument which says that rates should be standardized across treatments for public and private hospitals, and there are a lot of views on that. I was wondering what your view is.
So I think more than my view, I think the latest ruling from the Supreme Court, which said that it cannot be, the government cannot dictate pricing because it is really market forces that dictate pricing. It is really when you cannot control the input costs, so you cannot mandate input costs. It's very hard to mandate output. So the price is very, very difficult for the government to put a mandate on pricing. Having said that, I believe that with the penetration of insurance and the fact that at Apollo itself, 70% of our patients, our average bill is only 1.7 lakhs. So clearly, going forward, we believe that healthcare will be affordable with the penetration of insurance, and that this is what the government will focus on.
Just a last bit. I was going through your presentation, etc., and you're talking about a new innovation called ZAPX, specifically for brain tumors. I wanted to know more about this.
So I think at Apollo, we really want to do everything that we can to see that we can save a patient's life. And now it's the quality of life also that matters. So with the ZAPX machine, it is really a radiation, a laser that goes to it's very tumor specific. So you're able to radiate small tumors rather than have an open surgery. And that is a huge benefit. I think in less than 2 months, we've done 20 cases with good outcomes. So we are looking at, we are looking first at the benefit to the patient, and second, the fact that there is no machine like this in all of Asia. So definitely the demand coming not only from the local patient, but also from overseas patients, because we built the whole center of excellence for neurology and for oncology, so it's connected.
Yeah, just last question, that this treatment really sounds cutting edge. What is the cost compared to traditional treatments?
It is expensive. It's probably 100% more expensive. I think one treatment is around 9 lakhs. But I think the benefits in terms of invasiveness, quicker, you're back on your feet, discharge, it's outpatient procedure. So there are significant benefits.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is cutting edge. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Suneeta Reddy there, Managing Director of Apollo Hospitals, on the numbers and all of the innovation which is happening, and especially the fact that you have this kind of a technology for the first time in Asia.